Hello again. Yesterday we spent the day in Merida in the middle of a hurricane, and the magic of Délice is that today we're not in Mexico, but we are in Georgia. And we are in Georgia to welcome our latest member, Tbilisi, capital of Georgia. And it is a tradition within the Délice Network to leave the floor to a new coming city and let them introduce themselves, talk about their own city, their own approach, their own relationship to food and to the Délice Network. So it's a great pleasure having people from Tbilisi introducing us to their great city. And I would like to share with you also the reasons why we are so excited about their arrival in the network. And actually, there are many reasons. Well, firstly, they are our most recent member, city number 32, which is great news. And this is the proof that international cooperation is still very useful, even if in a pandemic situation. And you will learn that they are represented by the Tourism Department within the economic development of the municipality of Tbilisi, which is a very nice combination of some of our main fields of activity, actually. And Georgia is becoming a trendy destination for travelers. And the city of Tbilisi is working hard to make sure that the tourism profits to the capital city in the best way possible, which is something that we are probably most of us are dealing with. And in that context, Tbilisi is placing many efforts in bringing the traditional food sector to the global tourism standards while preserving it, which is also an essential topic for us. And well, we will learn much more about Tbilisi in a second, but I would also like to mention that Georgia is one of the oldest wine regions in the world. We are, you know, Délice is welcoming the city of Bordeaux. They've been making wine for 2,000 years in Bordeaux, and they're probably the best known city in the world in terms of wine. But Georgia has been making wine for 8,000 years, and so that's a while back. And traditional wine making has been recognized as part of the UNESCO Intangible Cultural Heritage List, which is a great asset. So enough said, I'll leave now the floor to Nata, who will tell us everything about Tbilisi. That the presentation will last for around 30 minutes, which means that there'll be plenty of time for questions. So I suggest you mute off your microphone right now, but after the presentation, if you can, please turn on your camera. It's always nicer to see a face behind the voice, and we'll have time to discuss with the people from Tbilisi about whatever we want. So Nata, the floor is yours.
Thank you.
The excitement that
Hello, everybody. I'm Nata Kurhuli, and I'm representing Tourism Development Department at Tbilisi City Hall. And today I'm going to talk about a little bit about Georgian gastronomy, as well as food and wine scene in Tbilisi, also who we are and what we are doing, as well as what we did after the lockdown and the pandemic. And also I'm going to talk about our upcoming projects. First of all, a little bit about Georgian and wine. Georgian gastronomy is incredibly rich in variety from the flavors and fresh seasonal ingredients. It is full of personality with refined and sophisticated palate. Here, every region has its own authentic culinary traditions and cuisine. And what is important is that as the capital of the country, Tbilisi brings together all the excellencies from around Georgia. So if you're in Tbilisi and you want to try some regional cuisines, it's very easy because we have a lot of restaurants focused on regional cuisines. As was mentioned, we're very proud of our wine because we have 8,000 years history of winemaking, and making wine in clay vessels, which is lemon shaped, is protected under UNESCO Intangible World Heritage. What is important is that doing so, our wine becomes amber, which is also, some people call it the orange wine, and it is characterized with exceptional flavor, complexity, and color, which adds an extra edge to the wine and food scene of Tbilisi in general. Also, we have a lot of Tbilisi is packed with wine cellars and bodegas, showcasing natural wines from all over Georgia. So you can taste it if you come to Tbilisi. A little bit about the food scene of Tbilisi. It's a more diverse and creative food destination that it has ever been. With its alluring traditional taverns, upscale fusion eateries, and hip wineries, the city has become an open secret among travelers from around the world. In the city, as I mentioned before, you will be able to try and taste the dishes from all around Georgia. Because of the diversity and variety of the food and wine scene in the city, it gives a lot of material for us to play with and implement very interesting and new projects around food. The Tourism Development Department under Tbilisi City Hall was established around 2.5 years ago, and since then we've done a lot around food sector, because we believe it's one of the most important directions when it comes to tourism. Since the establishment, we've hosted a lot of food bloggers. We organized a lot of info tours for them. We hosted around more than 60 travel bloggers, and podcasters from around the world. And as a result of the collaborations, numerous articles, videos, and podcasts were made on Georgian cuisine and food scene in Tbilisi in general. And what's more important is that the engagement was really high, with millions of photo views and hundreds of thousands of video views and unique article reads, and etc., etc. So we think that this project was pretty successful, and we would like to continue doing so. In addition to the info tours of the food bloggers, we also organized a lot of press tours for food magazines. For example, in 2019, British travel magazine such as Wanderlust, the representatives of the Wanderlust visited Tbilisi, and they indicated food and wine as one of the main factors and one of the main reasons to visit Tbilisi. In 2019 as well, we also hosted an independent publication, also a British publication called Fair Magazine. It's a semi-annual publication, and the December issue was completely dedicated to Tbilisi, its food scene, and gastronomic diversity. The author discussed the most interesting and main dishes of the Georgian cuisine, as well as reviewed the food scene in Tbilisi. They not only visited the upscale restaurants, but also they went to the simple diners and talked with the people and went in their houses and tried homemade dishes and etc. And because of that, it was so authentic that it's very interesting to see their point of view regarding Georgian food. Moreover, Tbilisi hosted the representatives of the Swedish publication, and they spent some time in the city in order to write a book about Georgian gastronomy. The book was under the name Blue Mountains, Lean Kitchen, and Amber Wine. Was published in Sweden, and it's a collection of traditional and modern Georgian recipes adapted to the Swiss kitchen. The writers met up with the traditional cheesemakers, wine producers, famous chefs, who all contributed their own versions of Georgian traditional dishes and stories behind them. Tbilisi City Hall cooperated with the Travel Color City Guide, whose representatives explored the trendiest places of the city. The city guide featured the curated selection of the best places to sleep, eat, drink, shop, and explore, all of which were personally tried and tested. It's very interesting guides that we posted, and we feel that it showcases the Tbilisi in the best manner. Next, I'd like to talk about annual city fest called Tbilisi. It's an exuberant harvest holiday on the first weekend of October. This is the time where the city celebrates its birthday with the traditional food and wine from all over Georgia. The old city becomes the center of the attention with the music and dance performances, and also, of course, the city is packed with food stalls with a generous amount of homemade meals and newly harvested wine. We believe that this festival is the best time to visit Tbilisi because it gives you the feel of the authenticity. Also, it gives you a chance to try all the food from around Georgia in a short amount of time. And we really recommend to come here in the first week of October. Next thing that I would like to talk about is the trainings and seminars that the Tourism Development Department organized throughout its existence. We organized a lot of workshops for the people employed in food industry. These seminars are conducted still and all year round. And the topics include characteristics of Georgian food and wine, pairing specifications of foreign palates, etc. Other than that, we also focus on the management part of the management part. And we also offer seminars on managing the restaurant, branding, designing the concept, working on the menu, working on the business plans, etc. The mentors of these seminars and trainings are usually experts or people who are successful in this field, such as chefs, restaurateurs, sommeliers, and etc. Since the lockdown and since the pandemic, we felt that tourism industry, the food and wine sector was the sector that was affected the most. So we believe that they needed our help. So throughout the lockdowns, we organized some online and afterwards offline seminars regarding the new challenges for the hospitality industry, managing restaurants during crises, new regulations after the lockdown, because there were so many and it was not easy to keep up with. So it was very interesting and we had a lot of engagement from the part of the industry. Next thing I would like to talk about is Tbilisi Food Week, which was held from September 22 to October 7. This was the first food week that we organized, and we are going to make it annual event. It was the combination of the culinary events, and the main purpose was to support local restaurants in Tbilisi after the pandemic and to make the people, the residents of Tbilisi, to come back to the restaurants. And to also to involve Georgian youth in culinary activities and to introduce a diverse gastronomic opportunity Tbilisi has to offer. The project incorporated a range of activities, including culinary masterclasses, live cookings, seminars, workshops, and also wine tastings, of course. Event guests were acquainted with the features of the Tbilisi cuisine, stories of rare dishes, Georgian culinary classes, peculiarities of Georgian wine and dishes. Also should be mentioned that these master classes were provided by famous Georgian chefs, restaurateurs, sommeliers, researchers, and etc. We had a lot of engagement on this event, which was quite surprising for us because it was after lockdown, so we did not expect that many people to be interested because it was a public place still, but because we did it right and it was safe and we kept all the regulations, it was they were sure that the pandemic fear was not there real. Along with the Tbilisi Food Week, we organized a street food festival called Taste Tbilisi, which was held in the end of from the end of September until the mid-October. And the festival, there are 3 weekends totally. The festival gave opportunity to the various gastronomy industry representatives to introduce their culinary masterpieces to Georgians as well as international visitors at the time. The three weekends were, two of them were dedicated to the restaurants in the city. However, the second one, Chef's Food Market, was totally dedicated to the professional and amateur chefs who wanted to showcase their masterpieces during the festival. Within the framework of the project, the food manufacturers and startup restaurants had the opportunity to introduce their food as well. What's more important, we not only focused on Georgian gastronomy, but we also had stalls for international cuisines, such as we had stalls for Japanese and Chinese restaurants to showcase their food to the residents of Tbilisi. After the pandemic, also, we decided to launch two web platforms for people and also for the people employed in the sector. So the first one was www.findoutTbilisi.com, which is our first tourism webpage for Tbilisi. Here you can find all the information about the city, about the tourism products, about where to eat, where to sleep. Also, if you want to take a tour, you have all the information here. Here is the page where with all the restaurants who want to be published, and it's also, of course, free of charge. So everybody who any restaurant who wants to be published here can apply, and we'll publish it here. And the second page that we launched was www.tourismmentor.com, which is more of a consulting type of web page. Here, it's a new platform to assist small and medium enterprises in tourism business to overcome challenges and implement new projects. The platform operates based on mentor services, and the beneficiaries have opportunities to receive professional support free of charge. For instance, there is a mentor, an expert in food and gastronomy field, for example, and a restaurant wants to get a consultation regarding a new business model or opening a restaurant or marketing or branding, or it's any kind of topic regarding food industry. They can book an appointment and have a one-on-one session with the expert. Of course, this is free of charge. And now I'm going to talk about our upcoming projects. First, yeah. So what we're going to do and what's in our mind in regards of the projects of the future. The first one that I'm going to mention is Frank cuisine in Tbilisi. I would like to mention that we not only care about the development of the Georgian gastronomy, but also to diversify the food scene in the city. In this regard, we have decided to implement a project in order to promote foreign cuisines in Tbilisi by organizing various entertaining activities. The main purpose of the project is to support the food industry as well as to diversify and create new restaurants focused on overseas cuisine or its fusion with Georgian gastronomy. The project will include different kinds of activities such as storytelling, live show cooking, master classes, and etc. On every event, one country will be with their rich and diverse gastronomy culture will be in the spotlight, and the event will be attended by local restaurateurs, chefs, and people employed in HoReCa industry. Also, I'd like to mention that we are also considering of inviting foreign chefs to Tbilisi. That's why we are talking about this with Délice actually, and to do the chef for him to make some live cooking shows as well as seminars or storytelling, and also chef's pairing to pair him up with the Georgian chef, and them to come up with some fusion of Georgian and overseas cuisine masterpieces and to integrate that into the menu for a certain amount of time. Right now, I would like to show you, food and wine tours. As I mentioned before, we do a lot of info and press tours, and we would like to continue so, more focused on food and gastronomy magazines, and also freelance journalists, because we believe that who have the good online presence, because we believe that that this field is getting more and more popular and more efficient. Also to invite foreign bloggers who focus on food, and also to invite tourism agencies, because last year we had this info tour for the tourism agencies from around the world, where we hosted around 50 representatives, but it was more of a general tour. And this time we would like to focus on food, and maybe after the tour, they would be able to incorporate Tbilisi and Georgia and its gastronomy and wine into their agenda. And right now I'd like to show you a video of the Georgian gastronomy. That's okay.
Georgian food has a unique flavor. What I love the most, I like the excitement that it gives me. Eating the food, you almost feel the whole history of the country. It makes me feel good, some kind of satisfaction it brings.
Georgians were making wine 8,000 years ago.
We have something around 525 varieties.
In my opinion, Georgia is a capital of the world in terms of culture, hospitality, and tradition.
No, ბედნიერი ადამიანი, უთხრა მე ვაკეთებ იმას, რასაც ჩემი წინაპრები აკეთებდნენ. და ჩემმა წინაპრებმა შექმნეს რა საოცარი სიმღერა. ჩემი ოცნება არჩენერდეს ჩემი სიმღერები ხალხმა იმღეროს. და მე არ ვხარეს ჩემი.
We respect our past very much, and we are building our new experiences from that past, and I think that is very healthy. Many Georgian producers are making the wine in February. February is an egg-shaped clay vessel which is buried underground. This tradition of 8,000 years continues still.
But most importantly, the quality of Georgian grapes is so fantastic. And our soil is so fertile. You can throw a seedling, just throw it out, and it will grow like this.
Back then, I remember my grandfather bringing food from the market. And I remember waking up basically with the smell of these greens. It was so aromatic and so strong. The whole Georgian food is a fusion. You have the Persian food influences, you have the Turkish, you have the Mongolian, you have lots of influences. And that's why I'm very careful when I change something, and when I try to do the fusion, I'm very careful because you already have a fusion. I like this profession, it's mine. I never do it because I have to do it. But if I'm in the kitchen, I do it with my whole heart. And I love seeing expression on people's eyes when they like something that I cook. And it's rewarding.
მე თუ არ ვიტირე სიმღერის წერილს, ის სიმღერა არაფერია. ისე იცოდეთ რომ აქ მას წყალს არ ქვარავს მოსაწმინდად. ეს იატაკიც მიდა ხოლმე ხოლმე ჩემი სიმღერით რომელიც პიანო სტილი უბრება და მე რა ნაცვლდება წესოთა.
That was it. Thank you everybody for listening.
Thank you very much, Nata. I think that video made us all hungry for one, and want to hop on a plane for two. But apparently there's a slight, small problem forbidding us all to come to Tbilisi, but hopefully soon. Thank you very much for this presentation about what you do and all the projects that you're leading. We have quite a lot of questions. So I think it's better that people ask the questions directly, but let's try to make sure everyone is able to talk. I'll start with Francesca from Torino. Francesca, I'll let you ask your question directly.
Can you explain more about the chef's week? No, the week, sorry. What was the name? The food festival, Chef's Food Festival. Thank you. You mean the street food festival that we talked about? Yeah, you presented 3 events, and one was the Chef Food Festival.
What did you know exactly, Francesca, maybe? The setting or how it's adapted to the...
No, how it's done regularly. Actually, it was the first time that we did with the chefs. So we invited the professional and amateur chefs that are operating in Tbilisi, and they had their own stalls, and they were presenting their food to the visitors of the festival. So, but you invited them in a special place or to cook in their own kitchen? No. The festival was in a huge park, and there were a lot of stalls, and every chef has his own stall. So they were cooking there, and yeah, it was all taking place in one place. Was it for free? No. For visitors? Okay, no, of course.
Visitors were free, but just the places for chefs were also for free. We covered all the finances, what was needed. I mean, for technical reasons.
So for the public, it was for free?
Yes, okay. Yes. I mean, eating was not free. They had to buy it, but entrance was free. Sure.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Francesca. Allow me to take the opportunity to say that we will be sharing experiences among the Délice cities on food events and how to adapt them to the current pandemic. So it's an initiative that's being launched by our friends in Orus, who want to see how all of your cities are adapting to the pandemic for their food events. This was in brackets. Karin from Malmö, Sweden, had 2 questions. Karin, the floor is yours. We don't hear you, Karin. You have your mute.
There you go. Sorry about that. I think the first question you answered in the chat, but my second one was, could you please tell me more about when you pair the chefs? What kind of, is it chefs from different countries or different food or whatever? Yes, we would like to invite chefs from the country from the spotlight, as I mentioned before, to visit Tbilisi and to pair them up with the local chefs to work them together and to come up with some dish that later will be incorporated in the menu of the certain restaurant of the local chef. Okay, thank you. The other one was about the mentor, the website mentor, but I think you answered that one, didn't you? Yeah.
Yes, Nata and Nino and everyone in Tbilisi has been very willing to engage in projects with Délice cities. There's been many good ideas, and unfortunately, the pandemic has made them hard to set up. But the idea of chef pairing, I think, you wanted to start with Lausanne in Switzerland as a first country. So we are discussing with Elise, but unfortunately, the very recent turn of events might delay a bit this project. But of course, we'll see how the Délice cities can be involved in this chef pairing. It's interesting to see that you want to preserve your food culture, but you also want to bring some international in. It's something that we don't see that often. Thank you, Karin. Then we have 2 questions from Olivier.
Yep. I'll stick to one at the moment. I wanted to know, when you invite foreign chefs to some of your show cooking events or whatever, do you also teach them more about your own Georgian cuisine as a strategy to spread your cuisine all over the world, or is it something you're not doing at the moment?
We believe that when we invite the foreign chefs to Tbilisi, and when they will be paired up with the local chefs, and when they have to come up with the fusion menu, they will learn a lot about the specifications of the Georgian food. So that can be a teaching process, but also we haven't thought about like official training or seminars about the Georgian food, but maybe we can think about it as well.
We have had that idea, Nata, maybe to add it and to see what our friends think about it, but to include the young students in all of the Délice cities. We know that they're all kind of locked in their houses or sometimes in their schools, and it's hard to be learning culinary during a pandemic. And we had this idea of maybe to have Georgian cuisine presented virtually, of course, to students from around the world, because it's a very rich and ancient food culture. And it could be interesting for students in Sweden and Mexico and Canada and wherever to be hearing a Georgian chef present how you make the basic of Georgian cuisine. So it's something we started discussing a few weeks ago. Let us know if you think it could be interesting to set up in your cities as well. Parts of the many projects that Nata and Nino have in mind. And then we had a question from Felipe. From
First of all, welcome to the network. Very glad to have you.
Thank you very much.
You complement these organizations, so we're really excited about it. And my question is about your markets and tourism markets. Before COVID, what were your main markets inbound? People from which countries were mostly visiting Tbilisi in Georgia? And number two, which ones you want to access? What markets are you looking to bring into Tbilisi, hopefully post-pandemic very soon?
The most of the visitors that we got were usually from our neighboring countries, which is natural, I guess. In terms of marketing, we focused on Europe and Asian countries, and I think we want to focus more on Asian side, China, Japan, and South Korea maybe, and also Middle Eastern countries as well, because we have more or less good connections in terms of flights.
Thank you very much. I also had a question. Your food sector, I mean, Tbilisi is opening a lot to tourism on the international scale, and but as you said, mostly regionally. How familiar are they with English language? Does everyone speak English? Is it something that you're working on to make sure that the industry is able to welcome foreign tourism? It's a huge issue in France, for example, where the food sector doesn't speak that well English, and it's a barrier when you try to open to international tourism. What's the situation?
Are you talking about the service sector?
The food sector. The hospitality is often well trained, but really in traditional restaurants.
I think in most of the restaurants, the level of English quite okay, so they can communicate with the visitors. I don't think that we have a big problem with that.
Okay. Juliette Canto from Lyon raised her hand.
Yeah, thank you for a very interesting presentation and welcome on board. I was wondering when Tbilisi or Georgia has started this very important it's very important tourism and marketing strategy with their food, because it's really impressive the way you are running that. So when did you really start it, and who was behind that? Is it the president of the country? Is it a mayor? Is it how does it started and when?
The Tourism Development Department at the Tbilisi City Hall was established 2.5 years ago, and I think that was the focal point to when we started focusing on the gastronomy of the city. However, the country, National Tourism Administration was also focusing on food a lot. So I would say maybe 10 years ago, but for the city, it's 2.5 years ago.
Okay.
Does the city have a DMO?
Not yet.
Is it just a national tourism organization and then you run?
Yes, but we are working as we have a like DMO structure, but this is a department under Tbilisi mayor. So it's not a separated DMO, it's just like a department, and we are working as a department. We were thinking to establish a DMO for this year, but because of this COVID situation, the project is postponed maybe for the next year or for 22. We're not sure yet about upcoming plans.
I recommend you discuss with our partners in Buenos Aires, who had the same structure. The DMO was linked to the municipality and has now become independent. So I think I saw that Fernando was connected. So you can definitely share experiences on how to make that work. We had another question from Gabriela Martin in Frankfurt.
Hello, I just had a quick question. Are you using Georgian influencers to promote Georgia?
We haven't worked with them before. However, after the lockdown, because we didn't have opportunity to invite international influencers, we started working with them as well.
Okay.
But mostly their audience is still local, so it's more promoting Tbilisi on a local level, not international.
I was thinking of one of the influencer, Bera, and I don't remember, Nanuka also.
Yes.
Yeah.
They're incredible on TikTok. It's incredible how they promote Georgia.
Yeah, he's promoting. Actually, he's one of the best ambassadors for many years of Georgia in that direction. But he's not doing posts like directed with tourism industry. So he's just promoting.
Doesn't do collaborations.
Yes. He's a good friend of the mayor. Maybe we will ask him to think about this issue. That's a good idea. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Then we had another question from Olivier. Good question that we asked ourselves a few days ago. Thank you for asking it, Olivier.
Well, it has nothing to do with food, and I'm sorry for asking, but well, I know that Georgia is located at the border between Europe and Asia, and but you consider yourselves as more as Europeans, Asians, both, or maybe even none of them?
If you ask any Georgian, they feel more European than Asian. However, I think that we have best from the both worlds. So it's kind of a fusion.
Okay, thank you.
Are there any other comments? I don't think I forgot any question. If I did, sorry, and please raise your hands. Juliette again.
Do you have listed a map at the Georgian restaurant in the world, or the best chef in the world you have settled, maybe, I don't know, in North America or Europe? Have you got this mapping already?
Can you repeat the question?
Do you have listed, or do you have the mapping of your Georgian restaurant as a diaspora abroad? I mean, not on your country, but do you know if there are famous Georgian chefs in London or Paris or whatever?
I'm not sure if they're famous chefs, but we do have some restaurants in London, also in Paris, in New York, and a couple of European cities.
Okay.
But they're not, there's no official label saying that this is a pure Georgian cuisine restaurant.
No, there are. It's just not that famous chefs.
Okay. Thank you very much. I see, no, there is another comment from Olivier.
I'm sorry, one more. I just wondered, how did you find out about Délice? And well, obviously you seem to be very project oriented and wanting to involve other cities, but are you expecting anything else from the network? Could you please tell us more about that?
You know,
as soon as we launched the department 2 years ago, then we started looking for associations where we could be more, where we could get knowledge how to do city tourism. So because this was the first project in the country, and besides the National Tourism Board, there was not a tourism department in Tbilisi before. So we started looking for some associations. We were meeting with some tourism boards from European countries, their management, and we wanted to get the best from their experience. And there were suggestions about Délice, and plus we also found information on the internet, and Google does everything. So then we asked to some colleagues, and we got very positive feedback, and we decided to enter. We also entered ECM. We also entered World Tourism Cities Network, and the other one, I think 4 associations we entered last year, and this year Délice was the last one. So since the food is one of our main tourism product, we think that's the right place to be right now. So that's the case. And regarding the projects, I mean, we're here just in order to get knowledge, and we're here to get encouragement how to realize projects and ideas what we have, because I say we don't have experience, we don't have much experience working in this direction, and promoting food as one of the main tourism product, that's really something new. And yeah, the main reason is to get some knowledge, support, and of course, the promotion of the city.
Thank you.
You have a beautiful playground. I like to call it the playground because some of you may have listened to the introduction we made 2 days ago of Délice. It's all about having the assets, and you definitely have them. And then it's projects, it's marketing, but you have everything that it takes. And again, when we see your 3-minute video, it just feels so attractive. So I think you're on the right track for sure. Mariangela from Torino had a question.
Yes, I saw that you kept all the events even in this period, so festivals and food events, because you said that you want to support the restaurant and entrepreneur. In Torino, we canceled all the events because we were afraid that inviting people to go out to festival and food events was a little bit contradictory with the government message that was to reduce social life and stay at home. So how did you balance people's safety and restaurant financial crisis? Because I was very impressed that you kept all the events, and I agree with you that we have to send a positive message to restaurants, but on the other side, we have to preserve people, okay? And so I was curious.
To be honest, that was not really easy because we had a lot of safety measures to implement on places, and the restaurants in the very beginning they were really not so positively. They were thinking that that's the end of the world and we have to close and everything. But now they are more or less adaptive. They realize the situation. And yes, now they have to close at 10 p.m. That's another challenge. For the summertime, they were working full time, but now it's another challenge. Now we are working to launch some projects, how to support breakfast and lunch expenditures in the city because we're more dinner-oriented people, and now that's another challenge for the restaurants. But more or less, we're keeping all the events with all safety measures. But we're lucky we don't have a huge spread of COVID here. And working with local market, we do have some international flights, but that's not what used to be. More or less, the situation is manageable in that regards, since we don't have much imported cases, and that's more or less easy. But we need to move, and the government is also saying that we won't do another lockdown because it won't be really that much good for the economy. We are emerging market, emerging destination, and so we need to keep open as much as possible.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
We hope that you succeed in that, because we're seeing more negative things come in different places. I received a message from Chicago, our dear friends in Chicago. The restaurants are shut again in Illinois, and in France, and I think in Belgium, and in Barcelona. So yeah, very rough on our restaurateurs. So are there any other questions, comments? Again, Nino and Nata, thank you for your great investment in the network since you entered. You have been proposing a lot of interesting initiatives that have been constrained by the pandemic. But I think just the fact that you decided to join our international organization during a pandemic shows your motivation to engage. And I'm sure all the cities here will be happy to work with you and set all of these interesting projects of chefs pairing and students, student training together. We already have Neil from Birmingham working for the University of the College of Food University of Birmingham, who is already raising his hand to see how we can set up training on Georgian cuisine for the local students. So we'll try to make some of the projects happen despite the pandemic. And the live ones will maybe have to wait a few weeks or a few months. Juliette raised her hand.
Thank you once again. We're ready to cooperate. If you have any ideas, you have contact details of mine and Nata's, and so anytime you can reach out to us. So any ideas, I don't know, wherever comes into your mind, we're ready to cooperate. And thank you once again. And I hope next year at least you will be able to visit Tbilisi and taste Georgian food here.
For sure. Juliette, you had your hand raised?
No, it was just a final applause for Tbilisi. We are really, really happy to have you with us in Délice Network, really.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for the presentation. Once again, welcome aboard. You are a very positive asset to our network, and we're very proud of you being part of it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. See you at 3 for the AGM.
Bye.
Bye. Bye-bye.